Chile make their World Cup debut and bring some excitement, but Japan have too much for them in the end. My name is Mark, let's talk rugby. Japan lose their captain Kazuki Himeno in the run-up to the game, means they got to reshuffle a little bit. Cornelsen shifts from the second row to 8, and then Saumaki comes in to fill that spot in the second row. When the game gets underway, then it's Chile who strike first. We have Ayarza. He shrugs off a tackle, then manages to step through the defence, gives the ball off to Torrealba. They're in behind. He almost blows the chance because it felt like he held onto the ball a little too long. He had support on his inside and on his outside. Just had to give the pass, and they were in under the post, but holds on to a little bit too long. Rides the tackle, tries to offload. Ball goes to the deck. Luckily for them, though, a Japanese player then knocks it towards his own line. Fernandez is able to get there, scoop the ball up and go over to score. Then Videla converts and it's 7-0, and it's an absolute dream start for Chile, and it was great to see the excitement, from the fans, from the neutrals in the team as well. And, I used to live in Japan. I was there prior to the 2015 World Cup, and, I was there as a teacher, and I would tell other teachers and students that rugby was my favorite sport, and most of them didn't know anything about rugby at all, and they wonder, was it like soccer or what it was like, and that kind of thing. But then this Brave Blossoms beat South Africa in the 2015 World Cup, and it was big news in Japan. So then suddenly everyone knew what rugby was, and I didn't have to explain it when I started talking about it. People were able to name players in the team and stuff like that. Then 2019 came as well, and I was still there, and there was a big buzz over there about how well they did in the pool, and then getting to the quarterfinal as well. And I'm hoping that Chile being in this World Cup is going to have a similar effect there as well, inspire people to get into rugby over there, and create a generation of young people who actually want to be rugby players, and you have people to look up to. And that's something that I feel like that that maybe World Rugby misses a trick on. I think is that the World Cup isn't just there to fill the coffers of World Rugby and the Tier 1 nations for one of them to come off with a trophy. It's also there as a mechanism to create heroes and legends for people in countries like Chile, or whether it's Italy or whoever, or Japan, to actually look up to and aspire to be. And the way World Rugby are handling kind of the expansion of the game says to me that they don't understand that part of things, at least not on a bigger scale. It seems everything seems to be geared towards the teams who already have everything in Tier 1 to the detriment of Tier 1 and Tier 3 nations. And hopefully that changes in the future. I'm not confident about that, but hopefully it will. But back to the game, Chile, they've got their score there. The neutrals in the crowd are going wild as well, but it doesn't last too long, because Chile, they mess up the restart. Japan get their hands on the ball in their 22, and they put Fakatava through a gap and over to score. Matsuda converts that and levels us up at 7-all. Chile, though, they continue to come forward. They're finding gaps, and they have some great support runners as well, but I felt that Japan's scramble defense was actually pretty good, and they win a couple of crucial turnovers as well. Then we have Garafulik. He gets pinged for a tackle off the ball. Very kickable penalty, but Japan decide that they're going to go to the corner. They go over the top, and they managed to retain possession where it looked like Chile could have got it. It didn't look like it was a planned move to go over the top. And then Garafulik, he is pinged for offside, and then Japan, they kick it back into the corner. They look to set up the maul, but then Martinez and Eisman come through the middle really well and make it unplayable, turn the ball over. Excellent maul defense there. Then Daitis gets himself a yellow card for a late tackle on Ku. Basically caught him in the knee, and like the ball was gone a second or two before he commits to the tackle. That goes to the bunker for review. He gets himself a yellow card. There was no reason to put that tackle in at all, I felt. Japan then, they overthrow another line out. Chile, they get an option for a scrum or a line out for them. They opt for the line out because a scrum would mean that they'd have to bring on a tight head with a tight head in the bin. So they decide they want the extra mobility on the field, at least for now. So they opt for the line out instead. They then maul it well, and they're looking to lift a siege because Japan have been kind of on the edge of the 22 for a while now. Japan then, though, they work it back into that 22. Chile, they're defending desperately, and they're looking to see out that yellow card period. The bunker at this stage does confirm that it is just a yellow, which is a fair decision. But then Japan's pressure proves too much, and Naikabula gets over. Basically, they had a dominant scrum 5 meters out. It's popped off to him, and then he just steamrollers over, and there wasn't really much that the defense could do. Matsuda adds the extras, is 14-7. Japan beginning to take a little bit of control in the game. Chile, though, they do look to come forward again. They have some decent carries, but then Leach turns it over, and Fakatava, he kicks the ball through and gives chase. It kind of bends and goes into touch in the 22, and then as he's chasing, he almost tumbles over the advertising hoardings. Thankfully he didn't, and you could hear Nick Perry on the ref. Mike, I think he said something like, "Oh fuck," or something like that, but he went over to check. He was all right. And then, but from there, then Chile, they get back to 15, but they're beginning to look a little bit tired as they're getting towards the end of the half. And it's been played at an absolutely frantic pace by both teams. Neither looking to keep the ball in the ruck. They're basically looking to just get the ball out of there as quickly as possible, and also trying to move the ball before contact. Japan not offloading as much as maybe the 2019 vintage team might have done, but still moving the ball quickly. From here then, Japan, they're coming forward. Escobar, he gets in there, manages to jackal the ball, turns it over, but then Japan get immediately over him because he's got no support, and they win a penalty. We then have another TMO check for foul play. This time it's an upright tackle by Sigren on Matsushima. And you can see he's upright in the tackle. It's head-on-head contact, but there is kind of chest bumping as well. Sigren gets himself a yellow card. That again goes to the bunker for review. Japan, they're looking for another try before the halftime break. The clock is kind of running out now. They're in the Chile 22. Kick a penalty to the corner. Feels like a big moment at this stage. They go to Leach in the line out. He drops it off to another pod who set up the maul. He then comes into the back of it. They drive over. Fakatava gets his second try. Matsuda, he converts from the touchline and is 21-7 at halftime. And I felt like it kind of just changed maybe Japan's mindset for the second half, where they would have been more focused on, obviously winning the game, but now it would have been about getting that, bonus point try rather than just simply securing a victory if it had been like just one score in it. Again, we hear that the yellow card has not been upgraded. Chile then into the second half got a bit of their spark back after having a bit of a rest, and they attack up the side of a ruck. We have a knock on about 5 meters short of the line though, but they are showing flashes there. Then we have Ayardza. He steps the Japanese defense and gets out to Saavedra. he goes on a barnstorming run down the wing before just being about nudged into touch. But then we come back for TMO review because there's deliberate knock on by Riley. He gets himself a yellow card, so now it's Japan who are down to 14. Chile go up the line from the penalty. They make some decent ground. They go to the maul. They work it to within about 5 meters of the Japan line, and Japan are pinged for offside. They then just spread it to the left. Ayarza goes for the line. Probably could have given it outside because it looked like, they had at least one person out there who wasn't being marked, but he tries to go himself, gets stopped just short of that line, but then they recycle and Escobar manages to get over to score. Videla then seems to take ages, whatever he was doing with the conversion, gets to hurry up from Nick Berry with 10 seconds to go, and then seems to rush his kick and sends it to the right and wide. So we're at 21-12. Chile, though, they're back in the game at this stage, although you'd still say Japan are still favourites. Japan, again, they respond immediately to conceding, work it into 22. Lots of strong carries from them. They're holding on to the ball. Chile, defense is pretty good, but still Japan are making progress. Leach then crashes over for the bonus point try. Matsuda converts in this 28-12, and it feels like that should be the win for them at that stage. Chile, though, they're still showing some ambition. We have a nice chip and regather, but it's only kind of half breaks for them at this stage. We have then a bit of a lull in the middle of the half. I think the pace of the first half kind of was taking its toll on both teams. The benches then give, a little bit more impetus to the teams, especially to Japan, and they get themselves back into the Chile 22, moving the ball quickly. They're making good ground with the carries as well. They win a penalty. They opt for the scrum to try and tie in the Chilean pack. It's in the shadow of the post, and then Nakamura comes back on a switch as they attack from the scrum. He gets over to score. Matsuda converts, and it's 35-12 then to Japan. From here then, Japan, they kick a penalty to the left corner. From the line out, they spread it over to the right. We have a nice pass between the legs and the move. I wasn't sure who it was that did it. And then there's a kick over to the wing where there's space, but the ball beats everyone into touch. Then Chile have a 5 meter line out from their own line. They kind of goes a little bit awry. Japan get a scrum out of that, and from the scrum then they work up to the line. Dearns drives over for the final try of the game. Initially, Nick Berry said he thought it was held up, but we go to the TMO, and immediately, even before showing us a replay, he says, no, it's a try, and then shows the replay to confirm. Matsuda converts, and the final score is 42-12. Decent win for Japan. Chile, showed some good flashes as well in the game. And, fair play to Chile for showing ambition, not being overawed by the occasion. They tried in the second half, but were just kind of a bit tired. And, it kind of shows that World Rugby still have a lot of work, I think, to do to lift these nations up so that they have, a setup and an environment where the players can be fit enough to compete at this level. Japan, they showed flashes of 2019 team, not offloading as much. I don't think they have the personnel or the skill within the players that they have at the moment to play quite, that kind of risky game, but still look decent at times. But there were a lot of times as well when execution let them down, when they tried to move the ball. There were occasions when they went quickly from penalties where it felt like they would have been better just, kicking up the line and getting into position. In 2019, again, we saw that keeping the pace up really worked for them because everyone was on the same page and they were able to get in there and support. If somebody tapped the penalty quickly, there was people there for potential offloads and people there to also clear out rucks, but they just didn't have it today. And yeah, it probably would have been better just kick for position at times. And maybe when they play England, they probably got to be a little more pragmatic, I think, in that kind of way. But you know, when they did have the numerical advantage, they struck and got the scores, and then they pulled away in that second half. But at this stage now, we've seen 4 to 5 teams in Pool D, and I'd say like none of them sticks out as being a dead cert to win the pool. So I still think it's all to play for in Pool D.